You're tuned in to The Money Movement, your one stop for 100% Canadian financial management content. This isn't just another podcast. This is a movement. Here's your host, Graydon Racine.
Welcome back to The Money Movement. I am your host, Graydon Racine. And today I want to talk about something that I really don't think enough of us have learned how to recognize. When it's time for change. Change can be a very scary thing. Some people can deal with change as if it never phases them. They just roll with the change and adapt to every changing circumstance with finesse and class and can just handle their shit. Others, however, are not that lucky. Some people, including myself, do not deal with change very well. To be perfectly honest with you, it actually takes me a few weeks to adjust to a lot of certain things. Now, people might actually argue that this habit's not good as, in our current rate of life, change is ongoing, and learning to adapt can obviously be a very, very important skill, but change is something that can come in many forms. You can need change in your lifestyle in a variety of different ways. Maybe you need a new job, a new lifestyle, new diet, new spouse, whatever it is. Sometimes, well, let's be honest, change is needed. But how do you actually recognize when you need that change? And that can be one of the most crucial things in itself, is learning to recognize when you need a change. Because if you don't, you just become this super depressed slob and you're just not going to be happy with anything. You start taking your anger out on other people when really it's all in your power. You can change it all. There's a variety of different things that you can learn to identify when you need to change. After all, subconsciously, you know exactly when you need change, even before you as a person might recognize what your brain is telling you. The first trait I would say is a good indication that you need change is having a massive increase in daydreaming. Like I said, your mind knows when you need change before you recognize it. We daydream when we want to imagine our circumstances being better. After all, no one daydreams about stuff getting worse for themselves. And if you do, well, you might actually need some serious help. And the first change I would recommend would probably go in to see a therapist. There's some stuff going on there that I'm really not trained to help you with. But if you don't find yourself consistently daydreaming about things, it's a good way of recognizing that your subconscious knows change is needed. If you're daydreaming about being completely shredded and are unhappy or insecure with your body, then it's a clear sign as to what part you need to change. You need to get into better shape. If you're daydreaming about quitting your job and working for yourself, or in a better position, or with a different company, then that's a clear sign that you need change in your career. If you find yourself daydreaming about being rich or winning the lottery, then it's time for you to start making more money. Whatever it is you're daydreaming about is in an area in your life that you need change. You can start working towards that and implementing the change. If you want a better body, drop and give me 20 and then get a gym membership, hit those squat racks, hit the deadlifts, do whatever you got to do. You want a better job? Then do it. Hand out 40 resumes a day or quit your job and go get clients and start making money. If you're daydreaming about a new vehicle, make more money. Go ask for a raise, get a new whip, do your thing. When we daydream, we are picturing a better version of ourselves, as if it's not obtainable through hard work and determination, which you and I both know is complete bullshit. Anything is possible with hard work, dedication, and again, the most important, you can have both of those, but the most important thing is consistency. Another clear sign that you seriously need some change in your life is when you romanticize the past. I'll give you a very good example of this. When I first started working at a certain job, there was always drama between the admin staff person and others in the building. And at the time, it seemed like the worst thing in the world. Eventually, the staff would switch up, and I'd be sitting in the same building with a completely different group of people. And this time, for a short period of time, there was no BS, no drama, no nothing. But, all good things have to come to an end. And that drama kind of resurfaced once again. And I found myself romanticizing about the past. Thinking in my head that the first group of staff I worked with a year ago was completely different. It was in a different situation than there is now. Now, that's not true whatsoever. The old staff had way more drama than the current staff, but because I was no longer happy with the job and knew that a change was needed, I was romanticizing the past as if it was some glorious time in my life when it really wasn't. Now, this isn't just applicable to careers. It can also be transferred over to other things in your life. For instance, I think it was about 2 years ago that I went to Mexico and I was in the best shape of my life, or so I thought. I was 185 pounds, lean, mean, fighting machine. And during my trip in Mexico, I got a photo of myself holding the shark. Now, fast forward 2 years ago, I've lost that consistency to my physical fitness that I had during the trip to Mexico, and since then I've not have been in good of shape as I was. I'm constantly comparing myself to this Mexico version of myself. Every time I look at the mirror, I picture that version of myself in Mexico. Every time I try a new routine, I compare my results to that point in Mexico. To be completely honest with you, I actually have no idea if I was really in better shape back then or not, or if it's just my brain telling me that I need a change in my physical fitness and I need to gain that consistency back and gain that confidence back. And that's why I'm consistently romanticizing about the past fitness version of me, which we can change. We can totally change. Now, whether it's the old way my job used to be or the way my body used to be, the past is the past for a reason. And looking back at the past and romanticizing it, giving yourself that boo-hoo crap about how things were better back then, well, there's a very, very cold, hard reminder that you're not doing enough now. You're not doing it. You're not hitting your potential. And now even subconsciously, you know that. And that's why you're focusing on the past instead of the future. We're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors. The Money Movement is brought to you by Next Gen Wealthy. At Next Gen Wealthy, they believe in helping grow the next generation of entrepreneurs. They offer business coaching, administrative, and accounting support to help you get your business off of the ground. The uniquely designed packages are guaranteed to suit your needs. You can contact Next Gen Wealthy today at 587-8wealth or info@nextgenwealthy.com. The next trait of needing a change might honestly sound a lot like depression, but I like to actually call it a lack of passion. You may need a change if you find that you're constantly just trying to make it to the next day as fast as possible. You have no motivation to do things that before seemed to be an easy task to complete throughout the day. You know, a good example of this is having an unproductive day, coming home and just sitting down to play video games and ordering food to your house, only to follow it up by crawling into bed at 8 p.m. to watch TV and then sleep the next day. You did all of this all while knowing that there was things you needed to do after work, like doing your laundry, working on your side hustle, studying, and you even chose to spend money and order fast food even though you have food in the fridge, but you're just too lazy to cook. Hell, you even ended up in bed as early as hell just to make sure that you'd get through that day and wake up and do it all over again. Now you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, that actually sounds a lot like depression. And for the most part, you're right. I would consider a lot of those examples as good signs that you're getting depressed, but I wouldn't call it being depressed. I'd probably call it being unhappy. You know, the big difference being the time, how much it seems to happen. If the trend goes on for 2 to 5 business days, you can tell I'm still in work mode. If it goes on for 2 to 5 days, you're probably just lacking passion and really need to reevaluate what you're doing as far as your hobbies and careers go. But if this trend kind of seems to go for more than a week, this is probably early onset of depression, man. And you should make the changes. And yeah, you need to make those changes. It's never been more critical. If this sounds like you right now, you need to reach out to somebody to talk about your feelings. I know it sounds kind of like, ooh, feelings, but you got to. I know this could be hard. And if you're anything like me, the concept of opening up to somebody actually seems ridiculous, let alone opening up to somebody that you know. Now, call me, I don't know, bitter, but my personal standpoint, I don't like opening up to people in general. I don't like opening up to people I know. I don't want them to view me in a position of vulnerability and weakness. I'm not saying if you open up to people that you are in that position, but from what my life experience has been, I just prefer to handle my own shit. I don't need to dump it, but I do eventually need somebody to talk to, and I've been in that situation. So I've talked to a complete stranger. You know, I've used an employee system program I got here, went and chatted with a psychologist just to vent about things going on. And, you know, in my mind, that's just taking care of your health. You don't have something wrong with you. You're in a preventative measure to make sure that there isn't anything wrong with you. And if you need, you know, that person, you need a stranger to talk to. Now, I'm no therapist, not at all. But if you feel like you want to talk to somebody, you're going through a hard time, you have nobody else to turn to, reach out to me, man. Reach out to me on any of our social media platforms. I will get back to you. Let's have a nice little chat about how to get you back on track. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things in life that you may not recognize as traits of needing a change, but trust me, they're out there. It's about training yourself to become self-aware of these traits and the signs and learning to adapt to them and figure it out. I'm not going to lie. I think I had a little bit of an eye-opener myself just writing this episode, to be honest with you. I've been exhibiting a lot of these traits when it comes to my current job. You know, as many of you know, I run my own small business as a side hustle. I run the podcast as a side hustle, and I work full-time as a news anchor and radio host in Alberta. But I think it might be time to move on. I think it's time for a change. And if you're feeling the same way, join me in fixing these problems. If you want to get in better shape, make the change, put in the work and do it. If you want to make more money, make the changes. You want to be happier, identify what is making you unhappy and fix it. Join me in making those changes and living our best lives. Remember, this isn't just a podcast. This is a movement.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Money Movement, brought to you by NextGen Wealthy. Be sure to follow us on all your social media platforms and subscribe to us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Remember, this isn't just a podcast, this is a movement.